G'day, folks. Peter here. Welcome back to Mondays Down Under here on Talking Pools, where I'm joined today by Lee. How are you, Lee?
Very well, Peter. You've
Not
got
like,
little own old lonely me. Yes.
yeah, Shane sent us a message this morning saying he's feeling a bit crook, and he got a letter from his school saying there was typhoid, a case of typhoid recorded locally,
Yeah.
which surprised
Crazy.
the heck out of his doctor. But
Mm,
yeah,
yeah.
rest up, mate. Look after yourself, look after the fam, and don't work too hard.
Yeah. Look after little Dakota. Sweet little girl she is. So he has such beautiful children. They are just delightful.
So you've said many times. No,
Yeah.
good kids. Good kids.
hmm
BufferZone Systems are the pool and spa industry specialists with a complete range of software for pool shops, service companies, and commercial aquatic facilities. With more features and integrations than any other pool industry software, you really need to reach out for a one-on-one demonstration. Contact BufferZone today.
So
Right.
what the good old topic is today?
Well, I was thinking, I have just put on a new trainee, and what happened was she got this phone call last week, and she said, "Oh, I've enrolled for a Certificate 3 course. Um, they've encouraged me to get some work experience. Is that something you're able to help with?" Now, putting someone on for work experience means you invest a lot of time and don't get anything from it. It slows you down, and they're generally just there short term.
Mm,
So I said, well, I can't help you with work experience, but I am looking to hire at the moment. So arranged to catch up with her. We had a good chat. And yesterday, being Monday, we're recording this almost a week ahead of broadcast, um, took her out on 3 jobs to see how she goes. One was the first treatment on a green pool recovery, a fairly mild one. The second one was just chemistry check and treat. That was it. Third one was installing a pad of pump filter saltwater chlorinator. And yeah, I said to her at the end of it, I said, okay, willing to hire you if you'd like the job. Ticks all the boxes, seems teachable, which is incredibly important, has common
yep.
sense, which is
hmm
the one thing I can't teach.
hmm
And yeah, so just need to bring her up to speed with the technical side of things and how pools work.
Mm.
So I know that I love training new staff. I know that you train on the books for IRS
Professionally.
professionally, yeah. So I think it could be good rather than when we normally go into more technical stuff, bring it back for the very beginners and explain what the important parts of the training are to get a handle on first.
Yep. Okay. So
Because
you were saying this young lady has no previous experience with swimming pools?
she's done some work with resort pools in Queensland.
hmm
But the impression I get is not that she was trained or a CPO equivalent or anything,
hmm
but she was simply there and they said, "Oh, the pool needs cleaning, go do it." So, but that doesn't bother me. I don't actually
Yep.
mind people with minimal experience coming on board because I don't have to untrain their bad habits.
No, I completely agree. I'm the same. I look for traits and what makes a good employee. Things like reliability,
Hmm.
trustworthiness, as you say, an ability to learn, a willingness to learn. Um, they're the sort of traits in a person that you can't um, you can't train in. They're either got
100%.
them or not. Work ethic is probably the biggest thing. If somebody has good work ethic, it goes so far, like so far.
Oh,
Um, they've got to have it. And look, we know this is not the easiest job.
mm.
Despite public opinion, that it is a job that you just buy a pole and stick it in the back of your ute, and you go to the local hardware shop and you buy some salt and some chlorine, and she'll be right,
Yeah.
as the good old colloquial saying goes. Um, but yeah, it's there's so much more to it, and so much to learn. So that willingness to learn and that work ethic
Mm.
really, really comes into play. And it's hard. It's hard yakka. You are, as we've discussed before, you're carrying heavy equipment. You are on your feet all day, in and out of vehicles, up and down stairs, carrying
Crouching
stuff.
down, replacing equipment under a shed roof, low shed roof for like Thursday, and she doesn't know it yet, digging trenches for pipes.
Yeah, all of those lovely jobs. There's a lot to it, and staff. Some people are just not built for hard yakka. Some people are just not willing to do the hard yakka. So yeah, it's great to see another female pool tech on the road. I'm proud of that. I think we have a great attention to detail. So I'll be waiting and hearing to hear about how wonderfully she's doing or how she's traveling along. I'll be keen to know.
Yeah. No, the whole male-female debate always reminds me of, well, not really a debate. Reminds me of years ago when I put on a staff member and I went through a HR, human resources consultant, and he rang me one day after a couple of no-hopers didn't turn up to their interviews. And he said on the phone, "Oh, Pete, I've got a question." I said, "What's that?" And he says, "What would you think about hiring a woman as a technician?" In that tone of voice. And I said, "Well, first of all, it's not the 70s anymore. You can't really say that." But no, some of the best technicians I know are women. So
Absolutely.
It's got nothing to do with it.
No.
But starting them off with training.
Yes.
And I've got, I know we've both got different ways of explaining what a pool actually is to people, to trainees. Where I start, though, is always start off OH&S. Health and safety is paramount. Otherwise, they will harm themselves or someone else or damage something. And first thing I mention when they start with me, the highest priority is safety. If a pool job is delayed by a day because of some reason to do with safety, take the safety.
Yeah.
And that's paramount. We've spoken about that many times.
Yeah. And the
in
other
a variety of levels.
Well, the other thing I'd like to say about safety, it's all well and fine to tell your staff to be safe, to use PPE gear, to wear the gloves and the goggles and the mask. But the thing is, if you are not seen to be doing that yourself as a pool technician out on the road, they aren't going to do it either. So you need to lead by example.
Monkey see, monkey do.
Absolutely. You've really got to lead by example. So if you want your staff to be safe and you not to have any work cover incidents, you need to lead by example. Put those goggles on, put the gloves on, put the mask on. And obviously, with each new staff member that comes through, kit them out. Give them their own set. It goes with them every day. So that's really important.
Yeah. After that's covered, and that's something you can always, it doesn't matter if you've been doing this, I've been doing this 30 years and I'll still occasionally get to a job and think, oh, haven't seen that before. Is that safe? It's important to evaluate constantly.
Absolutely. And teaching them how to do a risk assessment when they first visit a site. It's something that most of us do innately. Like we just do it automatically. We walk through that gate. Does the gate open outwards? Does it close automatically? Is there anything that I can trip over? Is there water I can slip in? Is there those sort of hazards that you're looking for to actually then mitigate that risk? And so it's about teaching them those sort of things. And the first thing I teach when I'm teaching, especially aquatic technicians training, is that plant room awareness.
Yeah.
When you walk into a plant room, the same goes for a domestic pool as well. But when you stick your head in that plant room or that equipment shed, use your senses. What can you hear? What can you smell? What can you see? Use your senses to identify potential risks. Is there water on the floor that you could slip in? Is there Is the pump screaming? Like, that's going to tell you an equipment failure. Obviously not a hazard, but, well, it could potentially affect your hearing.
Yeah. Is there a smell of chemical?
That's it, a chemical spill, getting that smell of chlorine.
Just for the record, I do not encourage the use of the sense of taste to evaluate the risks, okay?
No, absolutely.
Don't go there.
Absolutely not. Yeah, completely agree with that one, Pete.
Just making sure people don't take it too far.
Yeah.
From then on, I go to explain that a pool is a complex system. It's made up of a lot of different factors that interrelate with each other. It's very easy to box things off. You know, you've got your chemistry box here. And inside that chemistry box, you've got balance, you've got sanitization, you've got, dealing with nasties like metals in the water or phosphates or whatnot. But that's the chemistry box. Then you've got the circulation box. Well, chemistry and circulation are completely interrelated.
Yep.
You cannot have effective pool chemistry unless the chemicals are circulated correctly through the water. And then, of course, filtration plays its part. Try maintaining good chemistry on a pool that's got lots of grit in the water. It's just not going to happen.
Well, the obvious example of that is when a media filter needs to be put on recirculate because the bowl's sprung a leak. It only takes a matter of hours of that water circulating around the pool but not being filtered to show you how important that job of that filter is.
Yeah.
So
that's the way I explain it. And I also explain that it's like a rabbit hole. You go down that rabbit hole, you're in the warren. You find little tunnels going off in every little direction. And then sometimes they link up again somewhere down the track, but that's getting to the more advanced stuff. So I do like to start with the basics. These are the boxes, and this is how they interrelate with each other.
Yeah.
I believe you use a different analogy.
Yeah, I do. So when I'm training newbies, as we call them, to the industry, I liken the pool to like the human body. The heart is the pump, or I should say the pump is the heart. The filter is your lungs. The kidneys are your chlorinator or your sanitizer, sterilization, and your blood, your veins are the PVC pipes, and your blood is the water. So that analogy of the movement of blood around your body and how your body functions, people find it easy to relate to. And the fact that the pump is actually pumping, in the body's case, blood, but in the pool's case, water. And then the importance of the role of lungs in filtering for the body, and in the case of the pool, the filtering of the water for the pool.
Yeah.
So
and if one part of the body packs up,
yep,
you're gone.
Yep, that's exactly it. So the PVC pipes are the conduit for the movement of the water. So they play a really pivotal role in water movement. So yeah, there's lots of important factors in obviously the makeup of a swimming pool for people to understand. And look, for the new ones, even knowing what a skimmer box is, knowing that the fact that the water actually goes into the skimmer box and out of the return lines can sometimes be simple things as simple as that newbies aren't aware of. So really make sure that when you're training any new staff that you do actually really break it down. And I think it's really important to explain to them the why. If you understand the why, then you retain it better. It's not, that's an eyeball, that's the skimmer box. Like, the skimmer box is where the water goes in to supply the pump to go to the filter through the chlorinator, comes out the other side and comes out the return lines. Hence why they're called returns.
That's actually how I also do handovers, an instructional session. I think in the US they call them pool school or something for customers. I start off at the skimmer box, starting with water level. You want it about halfway to 3/4 of the way up the skimmer. Too low, you're going to burn your pump out or the system will shut down. At best, your pool's going to go green. At worst, it's going to go green and you'll be up for new equipment. Explain, what the weir door is.
And the important role that plays.
Yeah.
A lot of people aren't aware of the importance of a weir door.
Yeah. The basket, what's involved, even down to the details of before you stick your hand in there to scoop anything out, make sure there's nothing in there that's going to stab, bite, sting, or poke you. I've seen it happen.
Yeah, completely.
And I mean, obviously wearing gloves is ideal, but very, very few people do that.
There is a great tool that actually helps you get stuff out of the skimmer basket. I've seen Andrea talk about it. No, I've seen Andrea talk about it. There's a couple of different ones. I think it's like a net that's on a extender pole that scoops the internals out, or it's also got a grab thing on it that allows you to grab the basket and remove it. So different things like that. So
fair enough.
There's always ways and means.
Yeah.
I had a service technician that was absolutely terrified of spiders.
I had one that she'd see a spider, she'd pick it up, put it on her hand and start playing with this, the live spider. And don't forget, in Australia, we've got some pretty damn nasty ones.
Yes.
If she saw a cockroach on the other end of the backyard, absolute panic attack. She'd just freak out. Mm-hmm. First time I saw it, I thought, what on earth is happening? After a few months of that, though, I just laughed. I just thought it was hilarious. But
no, yeah. Well, I had one service technician that, didn't had it in a huge phobia of spiders. So emptying a skimmer basket was really quite difficult for them. So that was a hard one to overcome. Then just recently, when we were working with a business in Queensland, we had another. Fortunately, he was predominantly going to be in the shop, but Scott took him out in the field for a couple of days just to show him what for, which I think is really important for retail staff. If listeners out there, if you have a retail store and you've got new retail staff, or even old retail staff, make sure that you send them out to service pools occasionally. That it's really important that they understand that the role the service technician plays in the business, the tasks that they do on a regular basis, and so that you can communicate that to the client, but also so that you have as a retail person, have a better understanding, or I should say they, as a retail person, have a better understanding of what goes on out in the field. It is really important. But yeah, this particular service technician, again, he handles snakes. He's got pet snakes at home. Snakes, no problem whatsoever. Spiders, complete different thing. Like, he won't even walk through a web. So it was quite funny. I don't know how he would get on as a pool technician. So, but anyway,
that'd be a tough one. All the creepies and crawlies and all that stuff.
Yes.
Yeah.
There's another one. Talking of OH&S and service technicians. Had a service technician, or know of a company that employed a service technician, and he didn't tell them he couldn't swim.
Oh no, that's one of the first things I ask.
Yeah,
the day will come that they will fall into a pool. Be it either they slip on something, or they're out with a colleague and they really give them the shits and they just get pushed in. One way or the other, they're going to end up in the pool.
Look, I know probably for a lot of other countries around the world, swimming is not one of those things that everybody does or everybody knows how to do. But in Australia, it is. Like, for us to know somebody that can't swim is really, really rare. So or maybe more so in the country areas than the city. I think with immigration and that sort of thing, we're probably finding an increase in numbers. But we are a society or a country that is very pro swimming lessons. It's something that happens all through primary school and even high school. My kids learnt to swim when they were 2. So they started swimming lessons. Yep. They started swimming lessons very early. So for us to actually find a service technician somebody who wanted to work with pools and did work around pools to then find out that he couldn't swim was such a risk, such a hazard. And in the end, this company ended up letting him go because they could not
risk it.
They couldn't risk his safety. They couldn't take that chance. And so unfortunately,
I have customers who can't swim and they've either bought or rented a house with a pool and they can't swim. And I know we've spoken about this before. First thing I say is, can your kids swim? Have you got your kids in swimming lessons? Get them there. It's so important because it's not just their pool. Around my part of the world, we've got rivers, ocean,
completely,
lakes, swamps, creeks, all sorts of things.
Yep.
So that's a big one. One point you made is very, very good about teaching principles, about how things work, why they work the way they do. Because I'd rather, I guess, unless you're talking about how to access a certain part of the menu on this particular controller, that's specific to that make and model. But for everything else, they'll learn a lot more and be a much better technician if they understand the principles.
Yep.
Let's say they go out to a job and there's a type of pump they've never seen before. They will understand, right, we've got to make sure the basket's lined up properly or the lid of the pump's not going to seal.
Yep.
If they understand how something's going to work, like a media filter, and they understand that it expands slightly when the pump turns on and contracts, then they'll understand why it's important to note, oh, hang on, these nuts and bolts are rusted. As it builds pressure, it can pop. So the principles of it are absolutely critical.
And that's what you're saying is completely correct. Like, a pump is a pump.
Yeah.
Yes, they're single speed, 3-speed, 8-speed. Like, there's lots of different ones now. Gone are the simple days of 25 years ago when I started and we only had 1 speed.
A 1 horsepower pump.
That's
and it would have lasted for 30 years.
Yeah, very true, very true. But fundamentally, the pump does a job, the filter does a job, and they work the same way. A chlorinator is a chlorinator, like a saltwater chlorinator is a saltwater chlorinator. They fundamentally all work the same way. So understanding the principles behind each piece of equipment and its role and how it functions, then you can get into the nitty-gritty of different brands and those little idiosyncrasies that you need to be aware of with each different model or whatever. That's way down the track.
Yeah.
As long as they understand this is a pump, this is the role that it plays, all pumps fundamentally are the same, they then have a much better understanding. And it's like anything in life. The more we understand about something, the more we believe in it, we can sell it. Like, let's face it, in a retail environment, the more you know about a product, the more confident you are to actually sell that because you understand the benefits and of that particular product, the benefits, the attributes that are going to benefit that customer, and then you're choosing the right product for the client. So just make sure you've got the fundamentals covered. And that's probably a great word for this podcast, is we're talking about the fundamentals. We're not talking about anything advanced. We're just getting to know the basic principles of a pool and the importance of pool maintenance and the importance of sharing that with your new staff.
Yeah. And then, of course, you get onto things like chemistry. Again, start with the basics. Balancing water. I'm constantly amazed by how many people I meet out there in the industry who say something stupid like, oh, I balance the pH and chlorine. No. Make sure your staff understands what water balance is. Obviously, assuming you're in that side of the industry. But even a pool builder needs to know if they're doing the startup.
Yep.
So very important there. From there I normally go from there onto sanitization. Once they've got that really down pat, then I start, like I mentioned earlier, removing metals and phosphates and what they are and why we need to get rid of them and all that sort of things. But I do also throw in a few flock treatments early on, make sure they can handle the sight and smell of dead rats floating in a green swampy pool. We do a surprising amount of the really. I class them as either green pools or extreme pools. Extreme pools is the term that I use when they've gone past green, so they're brown, black, nothing.
I was going to say I just call them black.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, look. Yes, and the thing is, though, if they understand the principles of water chemistry and what they're testing for, then cleaning up a green pool comes easier because they understand the basics. And they understand why they're testing the pH level before they're actually treating a pool. Those types of important things that they actually need to understand the fundamentals of to be able to do the heavier jobs, let's say. So, yeah, there is a lot for them to learn. A lot. And I think it's important. It's like anything. When we're training someone or when we have expectations of new staff, we need to look at what role have we played in their level of knowledge or expertise. And I bring it down to, have I equipped them with the tools that they need to do the job? Now, I'm not talking here about whether they've got a test kit, obviously they need, but let's say a socket set or a screwdriver set or a multi-grips, things like that. I'm not talking about those types of tools. I'm talking about, have you equipped them with the knowledge and the understanding to do that job to the best of their ability? And if you aren't filling those gaps, if you're talking at them and not to them, then you're going to have gaps and you're going to set them up for failure. And let's all admit, we invest a lot of money in new staff. It costs a lot to train somebody and bring them up to speed. It's time, it's money, it's wages. And we invest a lot in them. We want to make sure that we're going to get return on that investment. And I'm not talking here about them going out and earning your money. Of course, that will come with time. But if you're not giving them the tools to do their job, if you're not equipping them with the knowledge and the expertise that they need to understand what they're doing, and how a pool operates and the importance of water chemistry and why they need to do it a certain way, then you're setting them up for failure. And that's not good for them and it's not good for you either.
Absolutely. Yeah. In fact, one of the things that I tell any new person I put on is, I've got no problem if you don't understand something and you ask. I've got a big problem if you don't understand something, you assume and stuff it up.
Yep.
Because that can get dangerous, that can get expensive, and we just
completely
don't want that.
But I think it's important too, you do get to a point with the staff when they, like, by all means, ring me and ask. But when you ring me and ask, I'm going to ask you the same question back. Well, what do you think you can do? What do you think are your options? What should you be testing for? And make them actually think through the answer. Because if you just give them the answer every time, you're going to turn into Google. And believe me, I've been there and it's not pleasant. You need to make sure that, like, it's, as they say, it's like having a dog and barking for it. There's no point having a guard dog if it doesn't bark for you.
Having a dog and barking for it. Who says that? I've never heard that in my life.
I think the actual saying is having its dog and wagging its tail for it. But anyway, I like the barking analogy better.
Yeah.
But so like if you you've got to let them do the job. You've got to let them learn, and you've got to encourage them to actually think through the process. And then what? And then what? What else could you do? What might be another option? It's all about asking the questions until you get the answer that you're actually wanting them to come to.
Mm.
And then you're actually empowering them because they knew that.
Yeah.
They actually dug a bit deeper and they actually found the answer to their own question. A little bit of help from you, but they had that answer within them.
Mm.
And if they still can't get to that answer, then you can help them out. But going through that process will actually educate them far more than you just spitting out the answer.
No, completely agree. And sometimes it just comes down to saying, listen, you know what's going on. You know this. You've seen it before. You've dealt with it before.
Yeah.
What
did we do? What did we do last time?
Yeah.
Those classic things.
And then what's different about this situation that makes you question that you know what you're doing?
Yeah.
So,
And why wouldn't we go down that path that we went down last time? What are some reasons? Like getting them to really think about things, because that's what we want. We all want is staff that actually think.
Yeah.
That can think for themselves, think on their feet, follow the process.
And can go through that process in their head.
Yeah.
Excuse me, took on a new pool a week or two ago. And I think it was week before last, and went out there. And first thing was just a chemical treatment. The pool had been recently installed, pavers had been round, put a whole heap of stuff in the pool, got dust out. Oh, well, sorry, was about to get dust out, but could only do a minor chemical treatment because as I was checking the equipment, as I like to do on new jobs, the cartridge filter was plumbed in backwards.
Oh, no.
So the element was stuffed, and I said, look, there's two options. Either I can sell you a new cartridge, or you can go back to the builder and say this was plumbed in incorrectly. And I took a video of it and sent it to him. And that's what I'd do because you shouldn't have to pay for their stuff up. But that was obviously somebody on autopilot, not looking at the inlet outlet. That's pretty basic.
It's even written on it, I think, with most of the brands.
This one had nice clear stickers. It was a Theralux. I forget the name they give it. Could be Pearl or something. It's the same as the Waterco Opal filter, just rebranded.
Okay. Right.
And it's got these stickers on it, inlet on one side, outlet on the other. And I thought that was a pretty beginner mistake to make. And I mean, I made that once when I was first starting out.
Yep.
Once because I had to pay for the new filter element out of my own pocket. But you learn very quickly with that. But why did they have somebody there who didn't realise this or wasn't paying attention being unsupervised?
See, that brings up one of my bugbears in the industry is the use of inlet and outlet. Because there's often confusion about that. So when they talk about inlets and outlets with returns and suction points, so is it an outlet from the pool or is it an outlet from the equipment? Is it an inlet to the equipment or is it an inlet into the pool?
Remember how I said I start at the skimmer box, then work through to the pump and then through the filter and all that?
Yeah.
If the water's coming into something, then it's an inlet. If it's going out of something, it's an outlet. So, for example, your filter outlet will typically go into your heat pump inlet.
Yeah.
That's how I see it.
And look, I see it the same way, but it's actually can be quite confusing for people.
Water goes in, water goes out.
I know, but
do the whole Homer Simpson thing.
But water can go in to the skimmer box. So is that an
front,
inlet?
or it goes in.
So that's an inlet. But then the water goes into the pool from the return line. So is that an inlet? Yeah,
we call them a return inlet.
So hence my confusion and my
I know what you mean.
My hate for those words, because I'd rather have a suction point and a return point than inlet and outlet.
Okay, I've never thought of it that way. So,
but anyway, no, there is some good learning material now available online, and I say this putting my IR learning hat on. So, full disclosure, I am a trainer for the Institute of Research and Learning, which is the training division of SPARSA. But we've actually created some great starting e-learning courses. So they're delivered completely online. Do it at your own pace, any time of the day or night. And they only take a few hours to actually complete, and you can jump in and jump out of them as often as you like and go back to them and refer to them. There's a introductory to industry, which is just your fundamentals, like what we've been talking about today. Then they've got maintenance, which is more around servicing and maintenance out in the field. They've got water chemistry, obviously talking about testing and balancing of water treatment. And then they've got hydraulics. And I think there's another one. I'm trying to remember what it is. Let me take a quick look. No, that's it. That's the 4. So intro to industry, maintenance, water quality, and hydraulics. So really good short learning courses that your new team members, especially with the start of the season, and a lot of people are actually bringing staff on board. Great option there to get some extra training into those new staff members. Nothing, they're not accredited, they're not a qualification. There's no Cert 3 or anything like that attached to them. They are just great e-learning courses. They will get a certificate of completion at the end of it. So yeah.
Another one for the wall.
Yeah, that's exactly right.
Yeah.
But hey, if it lifts the knowledge and the expertise in our industry, I am all for it. Yeah, it's really important that we lift the game of the professionalism across our industry, so that we're not recognised as, or we're not taken seriously, I suppose. Like
if I had $1 for every time someone's come up to me and said, "Oh, are you hiring? I'd love an easy job like this because I've seen you pushing a vacuum down across the bottom of a pool." It's like, really? Easy job? Try it, especially in the peak of summer.
Yeah, and look, for like a lot of us take this job very seriously. We are very invested in water chemistry and hydraulics and heating and sanitization and everything and everything and anything that's to do with our industry. We want to learn as much as we possibly can, so that the information that we're sharing with our customers and our staff too is perfect. Like it is the best of the best. Not
just so we're sharing information with them, but so we're doing the best possible job.
Absolutely.
Getting the best results.
Absolutely. Yep. Delivering the best service we can. Yeah,
we want people's pools to be trouble-free, because that's how they then recommend us to other friends, colleagues, associates of theirs. Yep. It's how you avoid lawsuits. That's a good one.
Very much.
It's how they're just happy saying, yeah, just take care of it. We don't have a problem since you took over the pool. And that should be the goal of everyone in the industry. Yeah. I don't know how some of the companies survive where they have, they have customer turnover so rapidly. Last summer there was one that was advertising in peak summer. Now, I was turning back 5 to 10 new customers a day. They were saying, buy 7 or get 6 services and have your 7th for free. Why are they discounting in the peak of summer? I can tell you why, but basically,
I was going to say there's usually a direct correlation between that and staff turnover as well.
Yep, that's pretty good point. This company is renowned for it. Company business, whatever their structure is.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So no, treat your staff well, educate them thoroughly, but fundamentally at the start you have to hire properly. Yeah. So what do they say? Hire slowly, fire fast.
Yeah, I'd go with that.
So be diligent in your hiring process. Doesn't need to be somebody that's experienced, like we've said, as long as they've got good work ethic, willingness to learn, they've got trustworthy and they're reliable. Those are the things that you really want. I I've had over the years, and with the businesses that I've been involved with from a coaching perspective, I've seen people come from all walks of life. I've seen a chef become a pool technician.
No,
Yeah.
that's Shane, isn't it? Wasn't he a chef?
Oh, he did too.
Yeah.
He did too. No, I had another one in Queensland recently, and yeah, he was just so appreciative of the opportunity to do something different and was so excited by it, and really keen to learn, like to really sink his teeth into something. So yeah, don't
That's what you want.
yeah, yeah,
And of
don't
course,
dismiss somebody who doesn't have a pool background if they're keen, if they're enthusiastic, if they're willing to learn. Yep, give them a go.
Yeah, 100%. Anyway, that's about putting on new trainees.
And you can teach old dogs new tricks.
You can. I think your dog lying on the bed behind you, though, I think is just not interested in new tricks, just sleep.
That's her favourite position, and she is an old dog. She's 13.
She's a gorgeous dog. Yeah. Anyway, thank you, Lee. Thank you, everyone out there, for listening. Any topic requests you may have, please send them through to talkingpool@gmail.com, and we'll do our best to knock those ones on the head. But for the rest of the week, you have a good one. Aroo.
See ya.